around here. We couldn't be more excited about all the good news we'll be announcing soon, including the launch of some new shows to keep giving you more of what you've been looking for.
Come on!
Smart radio for smart people. Hey, it's our celebration, but you get all the gifts. We'll be giving away fresh merch, swag bags, and a chance for you to join the private invitation-only, star-studded music and dance till you drop, food and drink galore second anniversary celebration. To stay in the know about the second anniversary details, download the KBLA Talk 1580 app right now. Don't miss out on your chance to be a winner. At KBLA Talk 1580, when we come forward, we're bringing everybody with us.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Hey, trips that you plan for the next whole week. Bands too long for so cheap and your flex OD and sex OD. You got it, girl, you got it. Hey, you got it, girl, you got it. Yeah, pretty little thing, you got a bag and now you wildin'. You just took it off the line, no mileage. Way they hitting you, the DM looking violent. Talking while you come around and now they silent. Through the Cooper 17, no guidance. You be staying low, but you know what the price is. Ain't never got you know it being modest. Poppin' ship it only cause you know you poppin', yeah. You got it, girl, you got it. Hey. You got it, girl, you got it.
And she got it for show. Danny Morrison show. KBLA Talk 1580. I just want to say to the world that when people tell you something that it seems like it's ordained from God, it means a lot to me. And you and your brother to say what you said to me, it means a lot to me. I'm going to wear that for sure. You guys have heard me interview multiple people inside my Post 101 interview on my show over the last year or so. And tonight you get another boost to black brilliance and excellence interviews with people that I feel that you need to know. She is a 15-year veteran law enforcement manager and founder of the CEO of the Morris Young Legacy House, better known as My Legacy House. As an officer, Britt has worked the communities of West Los Angeles, Hollywood, Boyle Heights, and the San Fernando Valley areas, conducting traffic collision and homicide investigations involving alcohol and drug abuse and impairment, and served as a community liaison for cultural diversity and inclusion, supporting victims of intimate crimes such as sexual assault and domestic violence, and serving as an ally to the LGBTQ plus community and as an advocate for Los Angeles's African-American communities. That is a lot. It's a mouthful, Lord. Britt's most impactful service was to community members suffering from mental health and social crises. As a result of that service, Britt and her brother Lorenzo, who you just met, founded My Legacy House to prevent mental health crises in underserved communities. Britt received her bachelor's degree from San Jose State University, where she majored in journalism, mass communication, public relations, and English. You didn't tell me that now. That's why you're so good on your feeds. She received her master's degree in business development and management and organizational leadership from the University of Laverne, and she received her Juris Doctorate from Purdue University's Concord Law School. And for additional information on her and her wonderful organization, here's a promotional clip that you all should hear. Listen.
Hi, I'm Britt Morris, founder and CEO of the Morris Young Legacy House Incorporated, or My Legacy House.
My name is Lorenzo Young. I am the founder from Morris Young Legacy House, better known as My Legacy House.
My Legacy House is a 501c3 federal nonprofit organization providing holistic mental health and social services here in Los Angeles, but virtually or worldwide.
My name is Jashay Rocket. I'm the men's lead mentor at My Legacy House.
I'm Martina Sellers, your mental health hygienist for Mental Health Marty.
Some short-term goals that we have here at My Legacy House is to really expand our infrastructure and get our basic programming out to the masses. We want people who are in our everyday circles to know exactly what it is we provide in terms of free mental health services, free physical fitness training and nutrition education, and just a community of individuals who want to improve their life skills to also improve their mental health.
And tonight, she descends into the Danny Mo Show to discuss her founding that wonderful organization, her movement, and how we can all collectively prevent mental health crises in underserved communities. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Danny Mo Show. Inside my Post 101, the highly inspirational founder and CEO of the Morris Young Legacy House Incorporated, also known as My Legacy House, Queen Brittany Morris.
Thank you for having me.
How are
That
you?
was a mouthful.
Oh my God, I'm tired.
You need some water.
That's the show, y'all. That's the show.
Right. No, I'm doing very well. Thank you. Very, very humbled to have been asked to come here. I'm very excited.
I've been watching you.
Or something.
That's why I reached out to you. I love what you do.
Thank you.
And what I love the most about what you do, I watch your Instagram lives and I go, I don't know many people that genuinely care about the community as much as you do since I got here to Los Angeles.
Well, this is my city. I have to care. I have to care where it's going, you know.
Why?
Because I think because it birthed me and my family, and my family is everything. And my family has pulled me from the brink of mental health crisis.
Oh, come on.
And just, you know, people talk, you know, about Los Angeles, but it's like, no, we've got good bones, and we just have to keep on mending them. You know, I see so much tragedy. I always say in my day job, I respond to people's worst day ever, and I'm like, how do you stop that? How do we stop, you know, the spiral? So I have to care, because if I don't, and what's left for the children I may have, or my sister may have, or just, you know, my friends and things like that. So gotta care. You have to.
Come on now. Do you notice in the industry that you're in, you still work in that industry?
I just left a couple hours ago.
Is there a disproportionate number of black people that are dealing with mental health crises in relation to just having mental breakdowns, showing outward signs of anger and frustration? Do you see a lot of us?
I do see a lot of us, but I can't say that it's disproportionate, because we have been dealing with internal mental health crises for so long that by the time it makes its way to the physical manifestation of those crises, you know, societally, spiritually, you know, that runs the gamut. It's difficult to say, because then when you go to other cultures or communities, I don't know what sets them off necessarily. I don't know what they've been dealing with for eons. I don't know. So it's hard to say. I do see a little bit of everybody, but when I see us, it's very, very difficult, because it hits home. So I get pulled in emotionally, and I have to, you know, sever that so that I can better serve them. But I see a lot of us, but I don't know if it's disproportionate. I can't say.
That's fair. That's fair. In the work that I've done personally, like the homeless population that I've worked with, the prison population that I've worked with, I can't deny that when I see us, it hurts worse. I'm not trying to say I don't feel that pain when it's somebody that's a Latino or Asian or Caucasian, but when I see us, I'm like you. You see that cat from your neighborhood, and you go, wow.
I'll never forget, I saw a homeless man outside of a 7-Eleven. My family has a production company, and we were in production. I had to run to do a little snack run, and it was raining, and there was an elderly black man. And not that, you know, my father is elderly, but I said, that could be my dad in 20, 30 years. And I cried and went and bought him a hot dog, Lord, because I was like, I can't even imagine somebody's out there by themselves like that, not having a family or somebody to care about them, because I see me in him. So that, I think that's the difference, is that you see yourself, and so it's like, oh no, wait a minute, we gotta run this back.
We're talking to Brittany Morris of My Legacy House inside my Post 101 Danny Morrison show, KBLA Talk 1580. That's why it infuriates me when I hear people attacking homeless people. It infuriates me. I go, oh, so you don't understand, huh? Because that, like you said, that could be your father. I mean, I have a couple family members that went through that process.
Yeah, and you don't know why someone's homeless, right? There's so many roads to, you know, homelessness. There's so many roads to mental health crises. And so to judge the result, or judge the destination without knowing the story, you know, there are homeless people who do not want to be on the grid, who want to be homeless because they feel like that's freedom. But then there are those who, they just can't get it right, whether it's the chemistry in their brain, or whether it's, you know, their capacity to learn and to hold down a job, or what have you. We don't know what the journey is, so we can't judge it. And so it's the quality of life that we're really looking at.
Thank you for saying that, because I hear people when they do criticize people that are houseless. I don't know if you use the term houseless or homeless.
You know what? I don't really say the word. I'm just like, man, these are people.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, we shouldn't have to categorize these people. At the same time, the narrative seems to be forming that those people want to be there. The resources are available to where they could change their lives if they want to. And I always tell them, the people that you're talking about, and like you said, there is a minority of people that want to be out there. They love the freedom. They don't want to be on the grid. They don't want to have no bank account. I have no job. I have to deal with a mortgage, you know. I get that. People are trying to say that the majority of the people that are homeless want to be there. And I'm glad that you're pushing back against that.
Yeah, because there's one thing about consenting, right? There's one thing about consenting, and there's one thing about not having the capacity. Because whether they're drug addicted, whether they are mentally disabled, whether they're developmentally disabled, and now they just don't have a network and maybe the funds have run out. There are so many different reasons, but you do have polarizing narratives, and that you have to be careful about that.
That's
because
right.
it's the same thing with the stigma with mental health and mental health services and things like that. So you got to be careful, and you got to put yourself in your shoes, in their shoes, because you don't know where you're going to end up in 5 years. You could be high rolling now,
Come on,
and digging ditches later, and no shade to ditch diggers, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you be high on the hog one day and asking for a handout the next.
unless you Ebony K. Williams, right, Andy? She ain't gonna date no ditch digger ever, no bus driver, no ditch digger, nothing. It's a whole different conversation. 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. When we come forward, we will get into the conversation even deeper. I brought a couple clips, and I want to ask you about our topic of conversation tonight on what you think, okay?
Okay.
We are talking to Brittany Morris from My Legacy House inside my Post 101 Danny Morrison Show, KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about. Stay there.
From Bakersfield to Los Angeles.
From middays to nighttime.
Like George and Wheezy, Danny Morrison is moving on up at KBLA Talk 1580.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Congratulations to One United Bank for being this week's winner of KBLA's Office of the Week. Your office won lunch for 10, delivered by the original Taco Pete. Congratulations to One United Bank.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth. At My Computer Career, the right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
A lot of new enrollments, huh? Braylon, Brayden.
Monique's daycare is crawling with new arrivals.
Hey, sweetie, are you hungry?
She needs more early childhood educators.
Did your socks slip off again?
And a nap.
Hey there, little guy. Okay. Shh. Whoa.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Real talk, real time, the gospel truth. You're listening to the Danny Morrison Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
Man, I tell you, you are amazing.
Thank you.
You really are.
That's until you get used to me.
Wow. Brittany Morris, My Legacy House, inside my Post 101, Danny Morrison Show, KBLA Talk 1580. And, we ain't going to just jump over what you just told me. You were an athletic scholarship, right?
Yes.
For what?
For women's basketball at San Jose State University. Go
Wow.
Spartans.
I ain't going to lie. When she walked in there, I was like, Brittany, a big girl, man. You trim. What are you, 5'5"?
5'9".
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could ball, huh?
I could do a little something enough for them to pay for school.
Andy?
Got a question now.
Go on and ask.
I know we talked about this a long time ago since you're a hooper.
Yes, sir.
What's your thoughts on the whole Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark situation?
That's a great question.
That's a great question if I knew what y'all was talking about.
You don't know?
And I don't care. Y'all can judge me. I've been working.
I guess. No excuse.
I'll email y'all my response when I do some research.
Okay. I respect that. All right, so you know how we do. Give me your 25th letter. Why? Why do you do what you do? Why start My Legacy House? Go.
All right. Well, we started in 2020, so I mean, there's a big reason there. You know, when the pandemic hit, we started noticing that mental health was deteriorating amongst the middle. I say the fat middle, right? So the 70% people who get up every day, go to work, the yous, the me's, and I was starting to lose it a little bit.
Really?
Because as an essential worker, I had to go out into what we didn't know what was going on.
Right.
And then I had to bring it home. I had just sold my house, moved back home with my parents because I'm like, I don't need the house. I'm just going to come home. And then the pandemic hits, and now I have to bring whatever I've got out in the world back home to my parents who are 60.
How did they feel about that?
They was like, girl, stay over there. We'll hug you when this thing is over.
4 masks on when you come home, girl.
I went on a trip for my birthday at the end of the year. And
Same year?
Don't look. If I was going to go to work, I was going to go and enjoy myself too.
2020?
Look.
That's the height of the pandemic.
Sir. Okay.
That's crazy.
If I had to go out to work, I was going to go out to play.
You're not catching me in a fuselage at the height of the pandemic. That's
well,
crazy.
no, it was dry. We drove. And so when I came back, and it was also fire season at the time. So when I came back, I sounded like Barry White and all of them.
Not bad.
And my mom and my dad locked me in the media room, way far away from everybody, and they just put a tray and scooted it down the hall.
So you were on lockdown when
I
you
was
got
on
home.
lockdown for 7 days.
Good.
Yeah, it was all right. It was like a little vacation after a vacation.
You ever get COVID?
I did not.
Never?
No.
Me either.
So that's why I'm like, come on now, stop playing with me. So I saw like the deterioration of mental health, and I'm like, okay, this is the exclamation point. This is not the origin. This is just what's revealing it. And I'm like, okay, so what is I'm not talking about people who are in crisis right now. You know, dial 988 for that. 911 if it's some physical emergencies, things like that. But I'm like, what is causing the middle to start to deteriorate?
By the way, I never heard that. 988 is the number you call when there's a mental health I've never heard
sir.
that before.
Well, now you did.
Wow.
Now you can push it.
Please continue. I'm
988,
sorry.
text or call.
Wow.
And so Lorenzo, earlier today, he was joking with me because he was like, I didn't realize a 15-minute conversation with you was going to start an entire organization, Brittany.
That's called ordained.
Yeah.
That's an ordained conversation.
Yeah.
Divine intervention, if you will. God's
Absolutely.
talking to y'all.
He was. So my dad told him, don't tell Brittany if you don't want her to go on it.
So you're that person.
I am. He calls me a dog with a bone, my father. Shout out PJ Morris.
Awesome.
He's our executive
He's listening
director.
right now, right?
He's listening, absolutely.
Appreciate you, King.
So I started research. I was like, okay, I don't want to push pills. That's a problem right now. You know, that's not causing any, recoveries. That's exacerbating the problem.
So that is not a part of what you do.
It is not. We are holistic. We provide holistic mental health and social services.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah, we have to attack the problem from where it's coming from. It's coming from everywhere. We're spiritually, deficient. We are financially deficient. We don't have communication skills. We don't have life skills for real.
For real.
So it's really about getting us back to wholeness. I was like, life skills is what's killing us. We don't know how to talk. We don't know how to problem solve. We don't know who we are. We're not self-aware.
Facts.
And we have to be able to build relationships. We're not intimate with each other. Husbands and wives, divorces are running rampant because we don't know how to be intimate and vulnerable and still stand in our strength in that, especially as Black people.
Come on.
So it was very important that I'm like, okay, we need to start this from the grassroots. Where do we start? And we started with conversation. My father always says, everything starts with a conversation.
Truth. And
you build from that. And so that's what we did. I was like, okay, so we're going to teach. And I'm like, but it's the middle of a pandemic, and they're not going to let me get in front of anybody. So I said, virtual. I had a friend of mine who's now part of our organization who had a podcast, and I just followed his format with delivering the message. And I was like, will you do this with me? He's like, sure. And so we just started. and people started coming and listening and chiming in on the conversation. And
I've noticed.
I always say, hey, none of us have the answers, but we all do.
You get great engagement on that thing.
I do. A lot of it is the personalities of the people I call mentors, the people who contribute. They run amok. I'm like, look, be yourselves. We need personalities. We need everybody to see themselves on these screens.
Yes.
I always need a man on there because at the first year, we called it year 0, it was our pilot program. We had an overwhelming number of women, and my target market was men.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because you guys are quiet. You guys are quiet. You don't look for help.
You on the wrong show.
No, this is your passion. This is what you're called to do. This is your gift, right? So yes, you talk, but do you talk away from the mic, right? You know, and so it was really
Morrison family online too. I don't.
Right. So I'm like, okay, and I talk to my father all the time. So I feel like I know him intimately. I know when he's upset, even if he doesn't say it. And so I'm like, imagine how many more people who come from either broken homes or who don't have their parents, who are under the jail. You know, I'm like, we need to rebuild them because they're the heads of the family. We need to rebuild the family. So let's start there. Let's rebuild the kings, especially the ones that are coming out of incarceration, because that ultimately I want to get there.
Preach!
And remind them that they're kings so that they can start their lives again, get their queens, whatever, get their queens. Build that family, because that's what's going to propel us forward. But we want to do it in wholeness, not in brokenness.
Andy, do you see why I love this woman?
Yeah.
She's hitting the nail right on the head. That is basically the thesis for this entire show.
You know, the thing that's captivating is just, referring to us men as kings.
Yes.
Referring to women as queens. There's people out there that don't like those terms. You know what I'm saying? So it's just unique that, you would utilize them.
Well, you got to remind
Andy,
people.
are there some people that actually feel that way?
There's some people.
There are. Because people are like, everybody wasn't queens. And it's not about somebody who has a crown on their head. It's about like the internal, the way you hold yourselves, the way that, the proverbial king and queen do. They have self-control. They have care and concern for the people who rely on them. They want to make sure that their line extends. That is what we are. So whether or not, our ancestors were picking, were in the bush or where they were, in the pyramids, they're still kings and queens, whether it's of their household, whether it's of their village, what have you. So we have to remind ourselves of who we are so that we can, project that out. Because I always say, what you see in the world is what is in you. We only see what we are pushing out. So if everybody pushes out, self-control, self-respect, respect for the, care for their fellow man, et cetera, imagine what that creates. Because nobody can do the same thing. Like somebody else could start a nonprofit organization providing holistic mental health and social services. They're not going to do it the way my Legacy House does it. I don't do it the way other organizations do it, but it's going to be exactly what whoever I'm servicing needs. So
I'm captivated. Is she not killing? I'm captivated by this woman.
Daddy, do you hear yourself?
She's me. Is that crazy? She's me with locks, man.
Don't you have locks?
No, these are braids. I'm thinking about doing it though.
Do it.
How long did that take to do? Wow, you got those mini locks.
So a sister lock. Shout out to Nap Tapestry and Lady Gray
that
and
name
Precious
is fire.
McGriss.
Nap Tapestry.
Nap Tapestry.
That's fire.
I've been locked for 8 years now.
Is it as difficult as they say?
Well, I don't know how difficult do they say it is, Danny.
They've been telling me, like, Danny, understand. I mean, you probably look good with them, but the maintenance is out of control.
Well, it depends. Like, I don't touch my hair. My loctician said the first day, okay, look, you control your life. I control your hair. I said, yes, ma'am.
So I got to have a loctician to do it.
I think so. You don't have to. But for me, this is too much. Right. I got tailbone.
It looks great, though.
Thank you.
Andy, you got a loctician? Yeah? Okay, I need one. I got a dietitian. I don't have a loctician.
I got several locticians.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Bushi.
Prices are different, inflation.
I say, I saw them prices to lock my hair. I said, I'm gonna lock out, okay, because I'm gonna have to pass. Top 5 dead or alive. Your category. 5 signs that show that someone may be going through a mental health crisis. Go.
Okay. Disclaimer, I'm not that kind of doctor. I've got a Juris Doctorate, not a PhD.
It's all good.
But experience shows, and talking with our service providers, we do have a good list of 5. So if you know someone, if you're close with someone, family, friend, and they are experiencing personality changes, so they are acting counterintuitive to their values, who you know them to be, that's going to be an indication that something is going on, whether it's minor. That's one symptom, right? 2, they are uncharacteristically angry, irritable, moody.
That's a big one.
Short fuse when they maybe have the patience of Job, right? Then you have they isolate or withdraw from their normal social activities. We're not talking about introvert. I'm introverted, but I'm social. I'm very social.
She told me that coming in. She was like, she's really nervous and she's an introvert.
I be sweating, Danny. I be sweating.
You fooling me and everybody else right now. You are not an introvert in any sense of the word.
Oh, what I am. But introvert doesn't mean that you're antisocial. It just means that you lose energy the more people you're around, and that you need to recharge by yourself or in solitude.
Really? I didn't know that.
An extrovert, they get energy from being around a lot of people, and when they're by themselves, they kind of lose energy. So it's about how you recharge. It's not how you socialize.
So you don't go out?
I go out all the time. My dad says I'm a street urchin. Okay.
Okay, I'm confused.
I go out all the time, but I have to take my time to recharge, get away from the hoopla to recharge.
So you're an introverted extrovert.
I am an outspoken introvert.
An outspoken introvert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, please continue.
Okay. So the number 3 is going to be the withdrawal, isolation from your normal social activities or behaviors. 4, they stop taking care of themselves, so they fall into neglect, or they maybe indulge in self-destructive activities like drinking heavily when they were not a drinker in the first place, or maybe experimenting with drugs, things like that. So it's self-destructive behavior that they start engaging in. And then last but not least, they seem overcome with hopelessness. So maybe they're talking about how people will be better off without them, things like that. Though you're going to want to start to try to intervene, offer yourself, connect, do it over and over and over again, because sometimes people just need to know that you care, that you're there, to redirect them. So those are I think my top 5.
It's funny you say that. We did a show, how long ago was that? A year ago, on suicide, right? And some expressed fears, like if you have a child, a teenager that's probably going through some depression, and you want to talk to them about it, whether or not they're having suicidal thoughts. But there were some that said, I don't want to introduce that to them if they're not having suicidal thoughts.
You can't convince someone to commit suicide if they not commit suicide, if they to do an act that results in their own death. You cannot convince them to do that. What we do in our training, because I was part of the mental health liaison for LAPD, you have to say it on the nail. Don't skirt around it. Don't give it cute language or cute names. Say it directly, because at that point, if they're at rock bottom, they need directness. They don't need to be able to try to what is it? Translate smoke signals or what have you. You ask them, are you suicidal? You think about hurting yourself? You want to speak to it, because number one, they'll feel seen. There's a connection that they know that you're making, that, you understand. And then now you've got a hook in where you can now offer resources. 988 is one of them. Therapy, maybe going to work out, maybe going to talk to somebody, all of that, or maybe just sitting with someone so that they know that you love them, that you care, you're invested. So you can't convince somebody. You're not introducing the idea. If they're already in that space, they've already been introduced by something else other than you. Right.
You said that we're up against it. I have so many questions for this beautiful young lady, man. We will do that on the other side. 1-800-920-1580. 1-800-920-1580. Talking to Brittany Morris of My Legacy House. When we come forward, we will continue the discussion. I brought a few clips, too, that we will get into as well.
Sharon's caring.
Danny Mo Show, KBLA. Stay there.
Nighttime is the right time for Danny Morrison on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Julius White. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. All of the people injured in the Atlanta, Georgia mass shooting were adults. That's according to a doctor from Grady Memorial Hospital. Including the decedent have not been identified, but while speaking to reporters, ATL Police Chief Darren Shearbaum offered this information.
5 individuals were shot. Unfortunately, a 39-year-old female has lost her life. And of those that are injured is a 71-year-old female, a 56-year-old female, a 39-year-old female, and then a 25-year-old female.
Meantime, the bond is being raised to $7.5 million for the man accused of shooting and killing 5 of his neighbors in Southeast Texas last week. Francisco Oropesa made his first appearance in court on Wednesday, where the judge called it the worst case he's personally familiar with. I'm Julius White on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
When you think Wendy's Biggie Bag, think your go-to meal deal with your choice of JBC, double stack or crispy chicken sandwich, plus 4-piece nugs, junior fries, and a small soft drink. Biggie hits every time. So grab a Biggie Bag today. U.S. price and participation may vary. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America.
The story of Emmett Till and his mother is a story of a family's promise and loss and a nation's reckoning with hate, violence, and abuse of power. It's a story that was seared into our memory and our conscience, the nation's conscience, when Mrs. Till insisted that an open casket for her murdered and maimed 14-year-old son. She said, "Let the people see what I've seen." The reason the world saw what she saw was because of another hero in this story, the black press. Jet Magazine, the Chicago Defender, and other black radio and newspapers were unflinching and brave in making sure America saw what she saw. Ida B. Wells once said, and I quote, "The way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon the wrongs."
Turning the light of truth upon the wrongs. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Let's get back to business, Los Angeles County. The Economic Opportunity Grant Program is now open. This program is designed to provide financial support to qualified small businesses, micro entrepreneurs, food industry businesses such as restaurants, and nonprofits in Los Angeles County. Approximately 4,600 grants of up to $2,500 will be administered to qualified micro businesses that face barriers to accessing capital resources. To learn more about the Economic Opportunity Grant Program, visit www.grants.lacounty.gov. The application process is fast and easy. Don't miss the opportunity to get back to business. This program is administered by the County of Los Angeles through its Department of Economic Opportunity and funded in part through a grant from the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. Application portal is powered by Lendistry. Visit www.grants.lacounty.gov and get back to business.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Danny Morrison Show exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Headshot.
Frank.
Sit down.
Frank.
Stand up.
Frank.
Pass out.
Frank.
Wake up.
Frank.
Fade it.
Frank.
Fade it.
Nah, I done grew around some people living their life in bottles. Granddaddy had the golden flask, backstroke every day in Chicago. Some people like the way it feels. Some people want to kill their sorrow. Some people want to fit in with the popular. That was my problem. I was in a dark room, loud tunes, looking to make a vow soon that I'ma get f***ed up, filling up my cup. I see the crowd mood changing by the minute, and the record on repeat. Took a sip, then another sip. Then somebody said to me, why you babysitting? Only 2 or 3 shots. I'ma show you how to turn it up a notch. First you get a swimming pool full of liquor, then you dive in it. Pool full of liquor, then you dive in it. I wave a few bottles, then I watch them all fly. All the girls wanna play, they watch. I got a swimming pool full of liquor and they dive in it. Pool full of liquor, I'ma dive in it. Frank.
That is the second best rapper of all time. Kendrick Lamar, Swimming Pools. Danny Morrison Show, KBLA Talk 1580. What you listening to? Come on.
What am I listening to? It's always Beyonce and Riri.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I'm a walking cliche. I love them.
Now, I'm surprised you said both. It's usually either or with the ladies.
No, I like them both. And then I like Black. Everybody calls him Six Lack.
Really?
It's from ATL. My daddy's from
By the way,
ATL.
it is Six Lack. Ain't no black. That ain't no B.
It's Black. Stop it.
Andy, go ahead.
So I got to ask you.
Come on.
Rihanna just performed the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Whose performance did you like better? Beyonce's or Rihanna's?
Performance, I'm always going to like Beyonce. Beyonce is the
Careful. Come on.
Beyonce is the performer of our time. Like, I love her. I love Janet in terms of performance.
She's not better than Janet.
Say it again?
She's not better than
I didn't say that. Everything ain't got to be a competition.
It is a competition. When you're talking about my future baby mama.
I got to correct you. We're talking Super Bowl performances.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. I said what I
Janet
said.
did that too. She showed a little too much when she did it, but Janet did that too.
She didn't show it. Remember, let's be fair.
Okay. That's
Blame the white man.
That's true. Well, we're prone to do that on this show on occasion.
Unapologetically.
Unapologetically black on this show. So if I get in your car, what you got in your music playing right now?
If you get in my car, nothing, because my phone is with me.
You know what I mean? What song would come on as soon as you plug your phone?
It would be Mike Eddy, actually, my brother-in-law. He is a.
Look at that plug. You see that?
Look.
Very well done. Mike Eddy. By the way, you can find him.
You can find him on Spotify.
What did I take? Go ahead.
Look, Mike Eddy. Mike Eddy. You can find him on Instagram. He's on Spotify. He's got a SoundCloud, Apple Music.
Is he good?
He's amazing. He sang My Sister Down the Aisle. I won $20 during that wedding because everybody thought I was going to cry. I said,
Is he clean?
Yes.
Andy, pull him up. We'll play him after.
Please play him.
How do you spell it?
Mike?
Yeah.
Eddy.
No, E-D-D-I-E or E-D-D-Y?
No, E-D-D-I-E. I don't know where you from, where that E-D-D-Y is.
I'm from
the
Bakersfield.
normal.
I'm just saying.
Oh,
that's a whole different conversation.
That's why, Mike Eddy.
We got to look that up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me read some comments. I'm giving you some love on YouTube right now.
That's awesome.
Speak, sis. This is so good. They love it. B says, men in general don't talk about what they're going through or feeling because it takes a lot of trust, and in certain cultures, it's told at a very young age to not speak or share your feelings because they're told it's a sign of weakness or fear of people using it against them, right?
That is exactly right, and that's what we're trying to reverse.
It's tough out here for the brothers, though.
If it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing.
My entire movement has been for black men, and I've gotten criticism from the queens. They go, "Why don't you give us love?" And I go, "Because we dying out here."
And you know what? To be fair, and maybe I'll start to lose love on this one.
Come on.
But there are so many things for women, so many things for black women, so many programs, so many people who are, oh yes, queen, oh support women, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a product of the support that women get. Mm-hmm. But it's like, okay, so women, yes, we got them because they come to get our services, but we need to dog whistle to the men to let them know, hey, this is for you too.
Right.
This is for you too. We need you. There is no us without you.
What do you say to those people, and this is off topic here, they say that a lot of those women's empowerment groups are like mean girls that are just setting up to criticize those that they feel are beneath them?
I think that if you put any people into an organization and then you build a hierarchy where there's power or a semblance of power, because nobody really has real power, but a semblance
Black
of power.
power, you wrong, girl.
I can be wrong because I can learn some things if I'm wrong, right? But,
I love that.
But you have that think, that group think, because when you put people into a group, they don't really start to stand out with what they're actually thinking, what they actually believe. They start to look around to see what everybody else is writing down on their piece of paper.
Right.
And that's what becomes the movement. So if you get a whole bunch of free thinkers together who are intent on being rebels, who intent on disagreeing with each other for the right reasons,
right,
that's when you get progress. That's when you start to break that glass ceiling or what have you. You start to till the soil,
right?
Because you have to have some discomfort. You have to have discourse. You have to have disagreements because we're not a monolith.
Yes, exactly right.
Diversity is what breeds new things like creation. You cannot have two of this exact same thing and create something different. You have to be able to take a little bit from everybody and make something new, make something thrive.
That's why I say when people come on the show, I say, I want you to come on the show and disagree with me. Don't come on the show and agree with everything I say. Even though I'm right a lot of the time, 99.9% of the time. But I'm also right on Janet Jackson. We ain't going to get into that right now. Andy, you ready for that? Can we do the first clip? Can we do that? This is one I played last night, which highlights just how we just might be waking up when it comes to identifying and treating our struggles with mental health. Check out these two kings on the Quote Goats podcast. Talk about how the black community may be finally turning the mental health corner and generational stigmas may have slowed us down. Listen.
As black people, for a long time, at least when I was growing up, nobody in my life ever mentioned therapy. You know what I'm saying? Like, black people feel like if you go to a therapist, from my understanding, you crazy or you weak. You know what I'm saying? Because we just supposed to suck everything up and
because we get it already.
Yeah, keep pushing. So I feel like therapy was more of like a white thing until now, because certain people from the black community are like trying to normalize like black people, seeking mental health therapy and shit like that and taking the stigma away from it and stuff, which I think is a good thing.
Very good thing. Yeah, man, because there's people that's professionals. They study this, man, and
But it's probably harder for black people to find a therapist that really
can relate to them,
can relate to like black culture and certain things that might go awry or happen within like the lifestyles that black people live, because it is a difference between like living as a black person and living as whatever other person.
Yeah, that's true. Never thought about that.
And Brittany, they are correct now. Data from the American Psychiatric Association shows that only 2% of the estimated 41,000 psychiatrists in the U.S. are black, and just 4% of psychologists are black. How can we alleviate this problem? What is the alternative? The floor is yours.
Well, I think cultural competency is very important regardless of the race of a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, any mental health service provider.
Is that something that can be taught, though?
I think anything can be taught, whether it comes across as authentic or organic, or whether it lands and then absorbs. That's another question, another study altogether. But anybody can learn what things are and put them in context and try to apply them. But I also think that pushing education in terms of black people going to school to become these therapists, because they've lived the experience and they know what worked or what would have worked or what they needed, and then they can become that. Or they can also find alternative resolutions for the issues that they had, so they can offer that to their clients. Because if we don't have representation, which matters inherently, then you can't really solve the problem organically. You have to have yourself in the place of the problem solver so that the person with the problem can actually go to you.
But that person has to look like you, though, don't they?
I think that is very important. I think it's extremely important. Yeah. But I don't think it is a must in order for them to work. Now, maybe to get you started, right? Because it's one thing to go to therapy, and it's great. I love that we are turning a corner as a people to go to therapy, right? But now it's not just about going to therapy. Now it's about taking what you learned in therapy. Because I was in therapy for 3 years, straight, right? Straight therapy for 3 years, trying to figure out what was going on with myself, coming into adulthood, my womanhood. And it's very important that you take. What they do is they help you find coping mechanisms for what has been cemented from your childhood.
Right.
So now you have to be able to take those lessons that you've uncovered with the help of an objective ear, somebody who does not know you, and you have to take it back home and you have to work on that. You can't just go to therapy and think that's going to fix everything. You have to put in the work outside of the therapy, outside of the 1 hour a week. So it's important that you find culturally competent individuals who can speak the way that you can understand, because that's something different too. We may have a black therapist, but maybe that black therapist is not set up to talk to you the way you understand. So that's why you see what I'm saying? So that's why I say it doesn't have to be, but it's probably more advantageous if it is.
That is very interesting. Just because they're black doesn't mean that they're prepared to have that conversation either.
Correct. Because a lot of people are suffering from cognitive dissonance. Yeah. And, and psychologists and mental health service providers are not exempt from that. We're all human. And so if we have been grown up and our personality and our characteristics and our families and our genes have set us up to have either strong values or belief systems that maybe are erroneous and we don't know that. And by the time that we find out, we're like, you know what, that's cool and everything, but I'm way too bullheaded. I'm going to stick with it. If we're not amenable to change or new information, then that puts us behind, handicaps us, so to speak.
Right.
So it's important to be able to be amenable to new information when you get it and kind of break through that cognitive dissonance so that you can be a beacon for our people.
Well said. And good luck on getting through to the brothers like that. 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. When we come forward, I got another clip I want to play for Brittany that she will speak to, and speak well, obviously. My Legacy House's own Brittany Morris, inside my Pulse 101 Danny Mo Show. Stay there.
Streaks across my window pane. Midnight conversations with Ebony and Ivory. Searching for a melody from 30,000 feet away. Yeah. My head up in the clouds, no way I'm coming down. No, no. From my love, only God can inspire me to write about. Now the worldly orchestration syncopates the air it breathes. Whenever she's around me. Just for me, we're beautiful arrangement God made just for me.
From Bakersfield to Los Angeles. From middays to nighttime. Like George and Wheezy, Danny Morrison is moving on up at KBLA Talk 1580.
Accuser of Emmett Till dead at 88. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. Carolyn Bryant Dunham, the woman responsible for Emmett Till's kidnapping and later killing, dies at 88 to a long battle with cancer. In 1955, 14-year-old Till walked into a store where Dunham worked. She accused Till of making improper advances at her, which has since been confirmed a lie. Till's murder was so brutal and unjust, his mother made it a point to tell his story. Thus, his death a catalyst for the civil rights movement.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580 would like to thank all of the businesses that tune into KBLA at work. We celebrate you, your calls to the station, and your overall support. To show our appreciation, we would like to treat your office to a lunch for 10, brought to you by the Original Taco Pete's. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app or log on to KBLA1580.com to submit your office to be selected for our Office of the Week. We know you're just like our staff, putting in many hard, smart working hours per week. We just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you. You and your staff deserve lunch on us. Enter your office to win lunch for 10 and be highlighted on KBLA Talk 1580 as our Office of the Week. Open the KBLA app or log on to KBLA 1580 to enter your office today to become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week, sponsored by the Original Taco Pete's, a black-owned restaurant. Become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action. Real talk, real time, the gospel truth. You're listening to the Danny Morrison Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
We have to give that cat love of the song that Andy just played. Who is that once again, and how can they follow him?
That is Mike Eddy. Mike Eddy, Mikeeddie. You can find him at Mike Eddy on Instagram. He's also on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud. But definitely follow him on Instagram. He's a wonderful man. That's my brother-in-law. Wow. He's married to my sister, and he's got a voice of an angel.
I could tell. Mm-hmm. Andy, she said he produces all that stuff, lays the tracks and everything himself too. Because you know how usually we get sent music and I go, that sounds like something that you made in your closet.
He made it in his closet.
Hold on, wait a minute.
But he has a very high standard for himself. So
I could tell. Mm-hmm. Really impressive. Let's get to this next clip. We ready? All right. This drives the message home even further, especially as it relates to the queens within our community. Check out Dr. Chanda break down some of the perils of being a depressed black woman in America. Listen.
With black women, anxiety typically shows up as irritability or shut.
My name is Dr. Shonda. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I approve this message. And this is true even for depression. Black women are less likely to exhibit those stereotypical symptoms of depression, such as a depressed mood, and more likely to become irritable and self-critical, which ultimately makes it more likely for clinicians to overlook symptoms, which actually makes it more difficult for black women to be diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And this ultimately impacts the treatment that they receive, which is why we need more culturally sensitive clinicians.
It's kind of what you were talking about before.
Absolutely.
Culturally sensitive, though.
I don't. You know what? Sensitivity. I think
it's cultural competency.
Yes, because competency, I think, is. I don't want to say it's akin to sensitivity, but you can be sensitive to something all day long and be ineffective.
Woo!
So you got to be competent to be able to apply what you're learning, what you're seeing, what you're getting from the field of your study or your practice to be able to help, facilitate a resolution. But in terms of like that anxiety presenting as, irritability and depression, as it's generational, because back in the days, we could not afford to present our anxiety around our men being strung up on trees.
Right.
We couldn't afford to be down in the dumps in terms of being depressed. We had to, buckle up and really get things done, or else our children were going to be next, or we were going to be next. And so we had to. That became muscle memory. Okay, self-critical. What can I do better? What can I do better so that I don't end up on the tree, so I can protect my children, so I can remain here on this earth, so I can at least maybe see freedom, or maybe have my children see freedom. They're not going to make it if I don't make it. So we internalize that, and we become more ambitious. We become, irritable, because it has to leave somehow, right? Feelings buried alive don't die. They fester and they come out in unpredictable ways. So you have to be able to move that energy through. And if you do it the wrong way, and Massive was watching, you were going to be raped or worse.
Right.
So I think it's important that we recognize generational effects of us as a people when it comes to our mental health, because it's going to manifest much more differently than it will for other cultures, other races.
That is why it's so disappointing. We've had the conversation on this show multiple times about how 70% of black women are unmarried. And they always toss out the stereotypical reasons on why that is the case. And it really breaks my heart that a black woman might go to someone in the medical industry, someone in the mental health industry, and is looking for a diagnosis of some sort to make herself better. But they don't they're not culturally competent. They don't know how to read us as a people, especially black women. They don't know how. And so this black woman is left saying, who do I go to? Who can I turn to help me become a better person? Meanwhile, we black men are putting black women down as a whole. So what do? Where do you go as a black woman to try to make yourself better?
You slow down, right? Because we're used to moving.
Yeah.
We're used to moving and pushing things forward. So now we slow down and we start to really, or you get a couple of good friends, like you said earlier. You know, you get your good friends, the ones who tell you the truth, the ones who you respect and learn from, to really start to see, okay, how am I affecting people around me?
You need some honest friends.
You need honest friends, but you have to be able to stop yourself from spinning, right? Even if just for a second, to start to look to see what's around you as a resource.
Yeah.
And that is hard. But sometimes it's the unlikely characters. Maybe it's your kids. Mommy, you're mean when you get like this. And if you are paying attention and you respect your children,
the most honest people on earth,
the most honest people, they don't have a reason to lie to you about what they're seeing. Then you start to say, okay, wait, so he said this, she said this, and I'm getting this response from my adult counterparts. Let me stop and think. So a level of humility need to be taken in, but you have to see it from somebody you respect. And I think that that's the same thing that can be said for our black men who it doesn't work for. You said earlier, that you can't sell the same thing to a black man and have them buy into that. That's right. You have to show them somebody who is like them or somebody who they respect, who is taking stock, taking stock into that particular ideology, methodology, whatever it is, before they can stop, turn around, and take a half a second. And then that gives you an opportunity to expose them again. And then somebody else does it. Now you expose them again. And after 7 exposures, now they're starting to pay attention and maybe they're taking stock too. So if you can start listening to your environment, because like I said, what you push out is what your world is. And if you really understand that and you're not arrogant, you're not ignorant, and you really want to fix yourself, then you start there. Then you can start saying, okay, I need to present differently so that I can, or communicate differently. If we can't use our words,
come on,
we are dead in the water, because words mean things. And if we can get the bite out of our words, people will listen to our words, and then now we get the help that we need.
You are fantastic. Can we fit this in? How long is this clip? Can we fit it in? 1 minute? Let's do it. Elliot Speaks. You guys probably know him. He's blown up all over social media. I want you to hear this clip to tie a bow on this great conversation. Listen.
Somebody gave a lecture about racial trauma, and this person came up to me and said, "What'd you think of the lecture?" I said, I thought it was good. That person explained a lot of things that y'all need to hear. And she said, well, and this is a good-hearted, kind, thinks I'm getting it kind of a woman. And she said, well, I liked it too, but I was really frustrated because he said that black people, and particularly men, experience trauma every day. That can't be true. I said, it's absolutely true.
Damn.
I don't know a black person, particularly black men, that don't experience trauma every day. And she said, how could that be? I said, let me explain it to you.
Listen to this.
If I locked you in your bedroom and I took the most venomous snake and I threw it in the bedroom with you and I locked that door and I close it and I don't let you in for a week, I don't let you out for a week, you didn't just experience trauma on the days you got bit. You experienced trauma every second of every day because you knew there was a venomous snake around. And she was like, oh, I get it now. Well, I'm tired of explaining that to y'all.
That's right.
Quite possibly the best analogy I've heard on the subject. So, Brittany, how do black men ever heal if the snake is always in the room? I got 30 seconds.
Turn on the light.
Not the mic drop. Not the mic drop, Andy. Did you? I can't believe the mic drop. Are you kidding me?
Turn on the light, then you can see what's in front of you.
Can you believe this?
We were talking about that yesterday.
We were talking about it, man. I'm telling you, this is me. I told you. Me with locks, right?
Yeah, you have to be able to see what's in front of you, because I agree with that. You know, when we're exposed to the threat, and that's when people try to talk me off of it, being anxious about something, like, hey, don't think too far ahead. My father always says, don't think so far ahead. Number one, you don't know what that's going to look like then.
True.
Number two, you've suffered twice for it. If it does happen, it likely will not happen.
Facts.
So now, what is the point? You've put yourself through all of this, hormones and things like that, for what? And so definitely, yes, if you're locked in the room and the light is off and there's a venomous snake, turn on the light, see where your threat is.
Fantastic. How can people find you, follow you, or get in contact with you, and how can they get involved? Please provide socials, website, or otherwise. Go.
All right. First of all, our standing website, mylegacyhouse.org. Mylegacyhouse.org. Everything's spelled the way it's spelled in the dictionary. Mylegacyhouse.org. You can find us on Instagram at my_legacyhouse. _LA. If you just start typing My Legacy House, we're going to pop up. You're going to see the little black boy in green. That's us. You can find us on Twitter, My Legacy House. You can find us on Facebook, My Legacy House. Otherwise, you just send us an email if you're interested in getting involved. You can find all that information at mylegacyhouse.org. We're looking for volunteers, interns from every walk of life, from every industry. There's a place for you at My Legacy House because everything starts at home.
And I want to say this is one of the best performances we've ever had on the show, man. Absolutely. Give her love, man. Knocked it out the park. Brittany Morris, My Legacy House, inside my Post 101. I appreciate you, Queen.
Thank you.
News and traffic right now. More of the Danny Mo Show on the other side. This is KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about. Stay there.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Julius White. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. All of the people injured in the Atlanta, Georgia mass shooting were adults. That's according to a doctor from Grady Memorial Hospital. Including the decedent have not been identified, but while speaking to reporters, ATL Police Chief Darren Shearbaum offered this information.
5 individuals were shot. Unfortunately, a 39-year-old female has lost her life. And of those that are injured is a 71-year-old female, a 56-year-old female, a 39-year-old female, and then a 25-year-old female.
Meantime, the bond is being raised to $7.5 million for the man accused of shooting and killing 5 of his neighbors in Southeast Texas last week. Francisco Oropesa made his first appearance in court on Wednesday, where the judge called it the worst case he's personally familiar with. I'm Julius White on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.